It's just because I'm trying to just move my wrist and it's
Don't
hard.
don't worry if you're not making perfect bubbles.
I mean, I'm not. It's not happening. I'm not worried. I'm just like, well.
Welcome to Nourished by Spinnies, the podcast which promises to inspire you to eat well and live well. I'm Tiffany Eslick.
And I'm Devina Divecha. This is a space where we hope to nourish your heart and soul. On this show, we chat with leading players in the food community, from farmers to foodies, as well as health and well-being experts. It's all about engaging conversations and fresh ideas.
Today we're talking about all things Japanese tea with Viktoryia Toma. So that's a bit of history and culture, some facts on tea production, and a few techniques on brewing tea. But before we get into all of that, I have to say this was such a fascinating tea tasting.
Have you done a tea tasting before?
Yeah, I've done one in Hong Kong and Japan. I actually did one here in Dubai many years ago, but on a much smaller scale.
Yeah, I did one actually in Dubai as well many years ago in a Taiwanese tea shop.
Yeah, me
Yes.
too.
Oh, we went to the same place.
Yeah.
Okay, great. But I mean, even with all of those experiences, at least for me, I don't think I've had that much tea in a single sitting as I did with Viktoryia.
Yeah.
And she did compare it to being quite similar to a wine tasting. So, you learn about the regions, the cultivation process, you taste for mouthfeel, which was a surprise. There's different pottery based on the type of tea that we tasted and how you'd like to serve it.
Don't you think mouthfeel is such a weird word? I always have a problem when I hear that. Well,
Yes, it is a weird word.
Yeah, it really was a lovely experience. And I'd really recommend it to anyone who's really like into tea
Yeah.
or would like to know more and knows nothing about tea. Viktoryia gives you a big overview of tea regions around Japan and the types of tea that's cultivated as well.
For some background for our listeners, Viktoryia is the founder of Ikigai-cha, where they focus on single estates and single cultivators. So they work and source from small farmers directly to bring their teas here, in addition to, of course, educating through tea masterclasses, just like the one we attended.
Yes, and Viktoryia told us about how her own journey of learning and mastering Japanese tea started with her love for Japanese food.
The more you're starting to appreciate the culinary part of Japanese cuisine, the more you're trying to add the level of sophistication towards the tea pairing and sake pairing as well. And the more you find in those really sophisticated dishes, you are trying to perfectly pair them with the teas. I think it's just a kind of that aspect.
Yeah, it's like a natural evolution.
And yes, and then it adds the pottery element, and then the pottery adds what kind of teas are coming from the region where the pottery comes from. It's basically becoming ongoing chase for the best tea.
Yeah. Non-stop passions. I love that. Yeah.
So we covered quite a lot during the masterclass, didn't we? We started out with a sparkling tea, then a cold brew, a few warm brews, and finally a lovely iced tea and some matcha tea and matcha desserts. Tiff, what was your favorite part from that morning?
I think making the snack out of the tea leaves.
Yeah, you did enjoy that.
Tea salad. Tea leaf salad is the new way forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what we did with, the leftover tea leaves also means zero waste, which is amazing.
I love that we added soy sauce and sesame. It was so flavorsome.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. What did you enjoy most?
I'd say the matcha desserts. Obviously, the tea experience was great. But closing out the experience with the delicious matcha cheesecake and the matcha tiramisu, that was amazing. I think it was also, I guess, my first time tasting matcha that I really, really liked. So that was great.
I am with you on that. I mean, you know how much I actually don't like matcha. And Viktoryia managed to change my mind.
Yeah.
It's all about good quality matcha.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so on with our masterclass.
So welcome to Ikigai-cha.
Oh, thank you.
We will be basically starting with we'll be playing between something served in a glassware and something brewed in a traditional pottery.
Okay, cool. And all Japanese tea, obviously. Yeah. Yes, yeah. She's like, definitely nothing else.
I mean, I don't discriminate other teas, for sure. There are so many amazing tea regions, but I just feel like the Japanese tea, they've been so There've been so much marketing fluff around the key categories, and the consumers don't really understand anymore. And that's why we're trying not to mix in the same portfolio other Asian teas. Because I'm hearing some of our customers and consumers, they'll be like, oh, I've been tasting Chinese sencha. How is that different to Japanese? There is no Chinese sencha. And, just to have it like a very, very, fresh start on the calibration of the category, we're like, no, it's only Japanese. And everything dates back to the culinary aspect of the Japan, which I've been involved for really quite a while. And I guess the tea just adding that layer of the category appreciation overall as a Japanese F&B.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all about Japanese tea. I try to structure it with the element of discovery, rather than being just very kind of factual about the technicality of the farming and the producing. It's more of the what I haven't I've never heard about the Japanese tea in general, how it be consumed. That's why we will be having the tea being served in different with the different brewing techniques. So from the sparkling tea, and that's exactly where we'll start.
Okay, cool.
So the very first tea, which will be part of our menu, is a sparkling tea. I mean, I guess it combines two really buzzy words. First of all, sparkling. Everybody likes sparkling things. So we have the sparkling aspect, we have organic aspect. So, and as well, we have a blend of two varieties of tea, which is the sencha, is a premium Japanese loose tea, and matcha, which is the premium powdered Japanese tea. So you have the whole USP of sparkling organic sencha with matcha. Regardless that despite that it's sounding quite complicated, it's very simple to prepare. You first of all make in the cold brew, where you infuse in the teas with just the cold water. And we have a very easy formula for that, which is specifically coming in it's packed for that particular purpose, which makes it very mess-free preparation. And then after 20 minutes, you get in an emerald color of the brew. So matcha gives you that faultless brew anytime you do that. And then we will be carbonating it a la minute.
Okay.
So for that, we like to use the sparkling machine. The idea is to add gentle carbonation and at the same time avoid oxidation, because green teas are unoxidized. So anytime then there is a contact with oxygen, they lose in the green color. So that's how sometimes we see green tea, but it's actually a kind of yellow hue brew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either the tea which passed its best, or there is some storage issue with the tea. So yeah, green color is actually a good sign. I mean, there are more technical aspects coming as during the farming, but primarily in a consumable kind of way, that could be an aspect. So what we're gonna do, we have our cold brew, which actually can be prepared prior, and then we will gently add some of the bubbles. We will decompress it, and we would not be expecting the bars like it would be in Prosecco and Champagne, but it will be about 1 bar.
I think I've had this at Reefs, at Terra
Yes.
Reef, and it was delicious.
Yes.
So I'm so glad to learn about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so are you working with a number of different chefs to do tea pairings or?
Exactly. I mean, tea, I will talk about this a little bit in depth. It's still considered as a commodity. It's some kind of, why do I need to do a tea menu? I'll just have a chamomile black tea, Earl Grey, whatever green tea. Not highlighting on the origin, not highlighting on the brand in a nice way, on the farmer who actually put all those efforts. It's basically, it doesn't matter, it's just a water, a tea, whatever. And in this case, when the professionals, F&B professionals, they would be grouping tea with coffee, at the end of their cocktail list, they give no emphasis to the consumers. And consumers, they take it for granted. They will be also not paying attention what kind of teas they will be having, and they will not having expectations to enjoy something special. So our initiative, and Chef Leaf is one of the definitely very iconic chefs of the region. He does appreciate this aspect, and since Tero is the omakase focused, but I believe it's a omakase on steroid. I call it that way. It's very unconventional. So for us, we just wanted to add the tea on steroid effect to basically, instead of just serving teas in the pots in a very, very traditional way, we added the element of sparkling, the cold brewing, all of that. So I'm really happy that you enjoyed that.
Yeah, I loved it.
And I'm really glad that this trend is getting picked up. And more chefs, both European chefs and traditional Japanese chefs, are starting to use the tea in that way. So, for example, a very traditional restaurant, Itadaku, they're extremely traditional. They also been serving sparkling tea, so it's becoming a kind of well-embraced trend. And this just to give you the idea that it can be used as a base. So it can be, first of all, used as an alternative to sparkling water, because you will have the antioxidants and vitamins. So it's high in vitamin C, ascorbic acid, B complex, and vitamin E, plus a dash of the amino acids all in one bottle, and 0 calories. Why not?
Yeah.
So it can be drink as is, or it can be used as a base of the mocktails. So you have your lemongrass. You can either go into the herbaceous, so you have your lemongrass, basil, mint, or you can go into your citrus. It's really very pairing well, yuzu, lemon, or we're doing some of the tea masterclasses for kids. They like to add the fruits and get very messy.
Yeah.
Or if you decide to have it as a cocktail, that also can be used as a really nice cocktail. In this case, you will have it as a base, and you top it up with gins, because the botanicals from the gin really well pairing with the green tea. Or as simple as some of the other clear spirits, sake, prosecco.
Okay.
It's very easy.
Yeah. It's such a stunning color as well.
I mean, green color sparkling in the flute, I think
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
And completely guilt-free. Actually, I converted our children, so they're
Yeah.
quite young, to opt for sparkling tea instead of soft drinks.
Oh.
And they're really fine with that. I mean,
Yeah.
they do.
That's a win. Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely add some of the agave syrup
Mm-hmm.
or honey,
Yeah.
maple syrup to add a sweetness to that, or you can stick it to a nice bubbles, completely guilt-free. All right.
Really nice. I like that there's no bitterness and that sort of strong tannin, yeah.
Specific of the brewing with the cold water is that as lower the temperature, it does not extract any bitterness. It just basically take the heart of the tea, extracting only the umaminess and the sweetness, if the tea possesses. Not every tea will be actually benefiting from the cold brewing, but the ones which are spring harvested, very fresh teas, they actually can give that. If you get just a very old tea and try to cold brew it, that's not going to happen. So with the cold water brewing and the next tea, it's going to have the even more kind of impulse. It will show even more profoundly the impact of the cold brewing. It will have no bitterness at all. And that's exactly the way how you can keep 100% all the antioxidants and the vitamin C because of the cold brewing.
Okay.
Medicine.
Yes.
Medicine.
And is it quite open to kind of like, is it quite subjective with tasting tea? So if I feel like I can taste something and Davina tastes something completely different, is that normal, or is there quite sort of strict rules of what you should, not rules, but things that you should be tasting when you drink?
It's
trying these?
absolutely the same way as with other beverages, wines. We all have very different appreciation, and somebody will be just really into, I don't know, tannic wines, and he will be really looking forward to have that beautiful tightness of the, Cabernet Sauvignon. And for somebody, it will be just a very off element of that. So it will be completely the same. The Japanese tea has got over 130 tea cultivars, which are also give it will be the equivalent of the grape varieties, and over 3 dozens of the teas, and they will be all on top of that having a different regionality specific. So they will be different, and you will just, as you go with your discovery, you'll say, that's exactly my cup of tea.
Yes, yeah.
Or you'll be kind of still searching for something which you are, more into it. So no,
Well, you've got 130 to work through.
I will be. I mean, definitely to kind of appreciate the typicity of every tea. There will be common traits of it that each of us will agree. It has, for example, this tea has got low bitterness. It has got a dash of umami. It has got a dash of sweetness. It's very refreshing. That will be the common kind of characteristics. But as we will unfold our tastes, and you will see there will be some more provocative flavors.
Okay. Yeah.
We will have a different appreciation on that. I love the smap because it represents the map of Japanese tea, and it shows that 95% of all tea is coming from those 15 prefectures, and each of them are having their specialties. So when we're shopping for the tea, we're shopping absolutely the same as we would be shopping for the cheeses, olive oils, or wines.
So terroir.
Yeah, exactly. Terroir in tea is, I guess, it's even more than in many, many other agricultural products. Even I don't like to talk about the Japanese tea as agricultural product because it's just so much more sophisticated. Again, if you just don't put it everything under the umbrella of green tea. Because in this case, we basically competing with the rest of the world of the green tea, and here the Japan is different. This particular tea, which we're gonna have in now, it's coming from Kyushu Island, Yame region, and it is a very specific place. And this tea just got Nihoncha 2023 award. So it's the all Japan tasting competition. It's done every year. So this year there were 538 teas submitted on the first round. Then there are 2 rounds of the internal evaluations. After that, it gets brewed into 20 platinum awards. So this tea is one of the 20 platinum awards. This tea is the single cultivar. So in a similar way as we will be appreciating fine wines coming from the single estates and specific crus, it is a really nice trend, and I really support it of appreciating tea based on the estate, cultivar, and the smaller delimitation area. It doesn't mean that blended tea are less superior, but I would say it is a harmony, like we would be having, for example, a non-vintage champagne. It's a harmony and a kind of the same style of the tea, champagne or tea repeated every year as a signature of that specific farmer. Or it will be the single cultivar, which will be reflecting the terroir and the year, and that will be talking about the individuality and precision. And this particular tea, since it's quite special, will definitely benefit from cold brewing. Actually, I picked it up during my recent trip where I visited my farmer. I like actually every year, at least once, go and check what's happening, what's the new trends. And it's also amazing to visit the local restaurants and the markets within that prefecture, chat, pick up new samples, come back with lots of ideas. And it's amazing. And every time they will teach you something fascinating. So when I visited Kyushu Island, so imagine it's the south, people from the south, they are very open. They love to chat, they like to eat, they like to drink. They will be very different than people from Tokyo or Kyoto. Much more, rigid in their etiquette. And if you were to be invited in Kyoto or somewhere in Kansai area for a tea, you would expect a cup of matcha. That would be basically a very similar kind of approach to hospitality. Well, when I was visiting Yame, and it's very suburban, it's nothing really to expect, I was shocked when I was welcomed in a tea room, and I was welcomed by the just a table full of Riedel glasses. Whoa, okay, let's do the tasting. And I was served a tea, sencha tea, served by exactly the method which I will be doing now. So it's a cold brewing, and hence you have the white wine glasses for that. In general, tea is a huge category. It's actually second in consumption, in value and volume after water. So it's not RTDs, not wines, not beers, not soft drinks, nothing. It's actually tea. So it's very important. And the production is increasing and consumption is getting actually, it is a swap between some of the categories, particularly coffee. Some of the coffee volume doesn't mean that people are not appreciating coffee. Coffee is a fantastic category, but there is some of that move due to the health benefits and other preferences. Among the top producing regions, countries, there will still be those traditional ones which we would associate with. However, the spread of the quantity will be so different in terms of the production. So China is making around 2.7 billion tons of tea. India, around 1.4 billion tons of tea. Sri Lanka, Nepal, or around 1 billion. Japan is barely making in top 10. But the gap between those top 10 among them is very it's very far away. It's very apart. Japan is barely making around 68,000 tons. 1,000 ton, billion ton. Yeah. So everybody will be raving about matchas and senchas, but in fact, even from those 68, 65,000 tons, only around 5% are exported. So it's very, very tiny fraction. That's why we really need to, when we want to have a really good tea, we need to understand where exactly it's coming from. So traceability is super important. So otherwise it's just becoming a brand Japan, and whatever has got something Japanese sounding, you will feel like it's the right stuff, but it's not. What's happening actually in Japan? So the production is declining. So it's a basically consistent trend for the last 40 years. The production is declining. It's declining because of the consumer trend, and as well that there are less farmers are able to brew, able to produce the tea. The generation is aging. Out of 5 farmers, only probably in the next 10 years, only about 1 will keep doing that. And the farmers, they're pushing their 60s, 70s, and 80s, so they're not fit anymore to climb the hillsides and perform such a difficult agricultural job. And the young generation, they consider it not cool. They want to be in offices, so that shift is there. And yes, definitely there is a trend to other beverages, including tea, and there is a bit of the, quite a bit of the bottled tea production consumption going on, but that's not really focused on the quality tea. As well, now Japan is realizing that other countries are doing quite a lot of the green tea, and there are other countries are doing senchas and matchas. And since neither sencha or matcha are geographically protected denominations, there is a lot of confusion.
Oh, so there's no like PDO for,
No, unfortunately no. And that's a big deal, because if you were to have a matcha or sencha, knowing that it's a protected name, same it will be talking about, I don't know, feta cheese, champagne, and parmigiano and whatnot. That would at least mean that teas are farmed and packed in Japan, minimum of that. But that's not happening yet. Other categories, let's say as sake, they had a similar issue because sake is also made in over 40 different countries worldwide. And they realized like, well, everybody's doing sake, it's not anymore our craft. And in 2015, they introduced geographic indication. The only tea category which does have a geographic indication is gyokoro, and that's the tea which we'll be tasting as a first warm tea. From the good things, exports are growing. They still represent in a fraction, so it's about 5-6%, but they are growing. So definitely there's a lot of buzz. Now I think only the lazy blogger will not be talking about matcha. Everybody is raving about that. The categories are really trending over other tea varieties. So definitely there's less buzz about oolongs, pu'ers, and black tea. People are really associating green tea with something sophisticated and healthy. And another thing which I just kind of recently starting to see really positively impacting the category is that the tea competitions. We've been hearing a lot about the coffee competitions, but recently a lot of tea competitions. So I mentioned about Nihonchi Awards. That's a Japanese competition done domestically. However, there is a Grand Prix Paris Award competition, which is also the warm tea, one of the senchas you will be able to enjoy it, which began again this year, Grand Prix Paris. And in UK, the UK Tea Institute, they also, I think it's a pretty recent competition called the Leafes. That's, I think they initiated only since last year, but they're really doing a good job. And they do promote the teas of the world, but a lot of Japanese teas are picking up the awards, which is really cool.
Oh, great.
So so a lot of the international bodies are supporting that. And new generation of tea farmers. So it's been like, my dad is making tea, let's escape that hard work, let's move to Tokyo. But now quite a few of them moving back, even the ones whose families never been in tea industry. And it's really, really inspiring.
Because it is cool, when you say like the negative was people were thinking that it's not, and everybody wants to be in the city, but all of us in the city long to be doing something like in the countryside with our hands and the earth, and you need more people to be doing this. It's so important.
I think at the beginning it was like a trend of, especially in Japan, they like to see what the Western countries are doing. They like to see a different lifestyle, the dining kind of habits. So that was a kind of a first wave. Now many of that turn into the traditional traditions. And just to give an example, a farmer, he's in his early 30s. So his family never been into tea, and he moved his family. So it's been already around 4 years. He's in the middle of a very rural area and growing less than a hectare of organic tea. Just like that, that's his job now. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I guess more we talk about those farmers, more we are making their teas available, more they get support and initiative, and more of them will be doing the same. So it's basically kind of admiring others. Maybe you have it in your head to do once in your life, but then you see somebody already doing it and you getting into that.
Yeah.
And what is also really amazing, and it's definitely a support for the tea category, are the interest towards Japanese tea coming from the celebrity chefs and the F&B experts. As well, the UAE-based chef, if they pay a bit more attention to the selection of the teas, they highlight the ritual, they boost the knowledge among their staff to promote those teas, it will also help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think all that will make a difference. Just a very, like a little moment about the Japanese tea history. So it dates back different sources, anything between 6th and 7th century. Definitely connected to the movements of the Buddhism. And it was basically exchange between the Japanese monks picking up the habits of growing and consuming tea in China, or Chinese monks moving to Japan, carrying with themselves cuttings of seeds, planting. So it was really, really nice cultural exchange. And then I will not be stop on everyone. It deserves a completely different gathering. But the tea has got a really fascinating industry, being treated as a medicine, and hence now we're talking a lot about the health benefits. But indeed, it was considered as a medicine, as for you, not only for your body, but also for your mental health. So all the monks, when they are trying to consider all the Zen, it was basically to have that relaxed alertness with a cup of tea, and that's what's working. Then the tea was having a really amazing part when it was considered as a gambling, part of the gambling practices called chakabuki. So that was the time when the feudals and really kind of wealthy individuals, they would be gathering, blind tasting the teas, and basically gambling on the money, showcasing their pottery collections. Really cool stuff.
No, I didn't know that.
That was for a while was kind of not really welcomed by the more religious part of the government, was stopped. Now it's all back, and when we do our graduation parties for our courses, we actually play chakabuki. It's really fun.
We'll continue with our tea masterclass and those delicious matcha desserts right after this short break.
Welcome back. You're listening to Nourished by Spinneys and our tea masterclass with Viktoryia Toma of Ikigai-cha.
I'll just will show you 3 stages in any Japanese green tea production. The first part is actually what's happening in the tea garden. So of course, we have the selection of our cultivar, the site, but in terms of the Japanese tea, and that explains quite a lot if we were to compare Japanese tea to, for example, Indian teas or Sri Lankan teas, it would be what sort of variety of the tea plant we'll be using. So just to go like a little bit flashback. So all the teas of the world made from the camellia plant, which is further on subdivided into camellia sinensis, where all the teas are, and the variety which gives you the decorative flowers. So we'll be using sinensis, and that further on will be split into the sinensis, subvariety sinensis, which will be all the Asian regions using, Taiwan, China, and Japan. And Assamika, Assam tea, that will be all countries from the India, Sri Lanka, Nepal. The difference between those plants is that the Assamika plant gives much bigger leaves and more fibrous. So perfect for the black teas, not so great for the green teas, which needs a bit more of a finesse. And then the first, one of the very important decisions that the farmer needs to take, and that will define if I'm making, let's say, gyokoro or sencha, it will be whether I will shade my garden or not. So intentional shading is basically covering the tea garden with either synthetic or natural straw cover, what it will do, it will enhance the umaminess in the tea, as it will protect from the sunlight, which converts during the photosynthesis amino acids into the beta catechins. So if you want to make matcha, you will not just make in a green tea and at the end of the process, matcha, let's powder it. Not that easy. If you really want to have a matcha as it needs to be, you need to start with deciding it, of course, which cultivars, and you will need to shade it. Matcha is always intentionally shaded tea. So you need to take that call right now. And as well, the next tea is a shaded loose tea. It's always shaded, called gyokoro. And again, in this case, you need to take a decision to shade it.
Is it less shaded than matcha?
Yes, yes. So matcha will be the most, require the most shade. Again, matcha is such a difficult category. Depending on the quality level, degree of shading and duration and the material of shading will be different. But on average, gyokoro will be shaded from 2 to 3 weeks before the harvest. And matcha will be, for a very entry kind of grade, it will be 2 weeks up to 5 weeks for ceremonial grades. And then definitely harvesting. So everybody talking about the spring harvest. I don't see anybody talking about other harvests. It looks like everybody is just picking up the spring harvest. Even though why majority of the guests and consumers don't like green tea, Japanese green tea, because they have access only to summer harvest or even autumn harvest. Then to actually make a green tea, because if we were to expose the tea leaves after cutting to the oxygen, they will turn brown. So that's how we get in our black teas, oxidation. Same if we were to cut the apple and it's getting brown. So we need to deactivate the enzyme, which is turning that browning aspect. And in this case, there are 2 ways to do that. So you can either steam the tea leaves to apply. You need to apply heat to kill the enzymes. So either you steam it or you pan fry it, applying the dry heat. So all the countries, and I think this is the most important element which makes Japanese tea tasting different, is that it's the only country which applies steaming technique rather than dry heat pan frying as the rest of the countries which are making green tea. So definitely steaming is much more laborious technique because you ended up with a bunch of really wet leaves and you need slowly to extract that moisture, and it's becoming quite a lengthy process. But at the same time, you're keeping the color nutrients much better and the flavors, the freshness of the flavors.
So it seems like a much more delicate process as well, rather than just like hitting it and then deep frying it, or frying it.
So I truly believe that, like if you were to compare with China is a fantastic country and great source of amazing teas. They're really great in their oolongs, white teas, puers, but green tea, let's keep it for Japanese. They've done a really good job on that. So that's important. And then we go into the cooling, rolling, if we were to go with the loose teas. And at the end of this process, we are actually getting the crude tea. So the high quality producers at this stage, they would be keeping it tight and cool conditions, and they'll be refining it as per orders. So all the teas within our collection, they're built to order. So the farmers are producing, refining our teas from the crude tea upon our request. And matcha will be grinded upon our request. And that's the only way to really appreciate the good quality tea. And in the last part, it will be sorting. Again, some of the teas you will have more stalks in it than leaves. Some of the smaller particles, they're going for the lesser teas. Firing, which will further on intensify the flavors. Blending, if it is a case, and so on, so on. And then let's say one of the teas, it will be roasted green tea. So you'll be processing as a green tea, and then you'll you'll actually have a really amber color of the brew. And like, what's happened? Is actually roasting was part of that process, or one of the teas, it will be adding something else. In this case, we'll be having ginmachi, which is the roasted rice. You can add any other things as mentioned, yuzu, peach, sakura, and whatnot. Or if it's a matcha, it will be grinding. So basically, this will kind of complete the process.
So matcha is the only tea that would be ground.
I could be very easily saying yes, but not that easy. There are a few other powder teas. They are lesser known. Like for example, the roasted tea. You can also have it in a powdered form. powdered hojicha.
Yeah.
Or you can have even the gin matcha was the one that you can also have it powdered. But definitely matcha is the most premium and the best known. But no, there are many varieties.
Yeah.
So the very first tea is, as mentioned, is a Misho Gyokoro. So it's coming from Kyoto prefecture, Uji region. So when we're talking about the Kyoto, everybody would be raving about a specific region within that, which is a benchmark of the Kyoto signature teas called Uji. And what is special about this tea, as mentioned, is shaded, and less than 1% of all Japanese tea is made into Gyokoro. So it's really cool. And farming-wise, it can be only harvested in spring. There is no such thing as having it in other seasons. I'm talking about the quality producers. There definitely could be somebody who would be saying that something else, but that's how it should be. And again, shopping for Gyokoro, you need to know the regions which are specialized in that.
Okay.
So Yame region in Fukuoka prefecture and Uji region in Kyoto will be the ones which are famous for shaded teas. All right, so when we're brewing this particular tea, it's actually translated as a dewdrop. So you are never drinking it in large, big cups. And in general, in terms of the Japanese pottery, it's not about, the most important is the type of the teapot, or in this case, we'll be using this little bit more specific type, which is called shibaridashi. It doesn't have any handle, doesn't have really a strainer. It's a kind of creation type of it that's really cool and rustic. For the cups, you don't really need to match it, but it's always advisable to have them white because you will be able to appreciate the color, the clarity. Otherwise, you'll be just having your visual receptors will not be pleased.
Yeah.
Let's call it this way. Pottery is also something which we are extremely passionate about, and this map demonstrates that there are about 37 main kilns in Japan, and I believe we have the widest selection of Japanese pottery in the Middle East. So we work, I mean, this is only fraction of it. We really think that to complete your Ikigai-cha experience, you really need to have your favorite pot. It really makes you to connect to the moment and increase the level of dopamine.
Yes.
Probably higher than you already have it with all the beautiful teas. This tea is brewed in a different way. It has much higher ratio of the tea leaves to water, and it's brewed up to 5 times.
Okay.
So it's brewed in small portions, but you can rebrew it quite multiple times. And the first brew to really understand the effect of the shading. So again, it's not about the bitterness, it's about the sweetness and umaminess. So we kind of build in our appreciation of what is umami in the tea.
Yeah.
So this type of the pot, this particular one, is coming from Shiga prefecture, so Shigarayaki type of pottery. Really beautiful and earthy. So that kind of hue on the lid is actually content of the iron, which during the burning, it gives you that interesting hues, especially, right? It's really amazing. All right, and now, so we have 5 grams. You will be using those teacups, not only to drink tea, but also to measure water. And what we will be doing is, because by adding water into that, we will also adjust the temperature, which will be very pleasing when everybody will start drinking. So we will be having, by holding the lid, full teapot, full cup. We'll be adding directly on the leaves. And then we take another cup, and we also put water, and that will be added. So basically for 5 grams, we have 2 cups of water. So 2 cups of water. Once we have it, close it. So we put it directly on the leaves, and we time it 2 minutes. So entertain you during these 2 minutes to make use of time. I have a plan for this brew. So first we're gonna drink it, of course. And secondly, we will quickly have a second brew, and we're gonna prepare a dish with the tea leaves.
Great.
How about that? You didn't have your breakfast, right?
Yeah. That sounds great.
Zen breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How breakfast should be.
So we will be using 3 flavorings. And it's not really something which I totally invented. even if you were to go for a gyokuro experience in Ginza, a nice place, they're starting to use a little bit of ponzu. I just like a few other things to get even more of the effect of it. We will flavor it with two seasonings. First one is the organic dry freeze miso. So it's a really, really amazing ingredient. It's full of beautiful umaminess. So it's basically your salt and pepper. We will just add a little bit of that.
Is that much enough on the...
Yep, yep. I mean, if you like it, you can continue. Okay. And then we will add a little bit, just a dash of the ponzu sauce. So it's a ponzu sauce is made of the soy sauce as a base, yuzu, and in many cases it's also flavored with the kombu. Kombu or kotsuboshi which is the base of the clear soups in Japan. So basically your kind of dashi stock.
Yeah.
We'll just add a little bit of that. The sourness of yuzu, it gives you this beautiful touch and highlights on the flavors. So we just have a little bit of that. And then just to make it a complete set of the vitamins we need, we will add some of the nori, so seaweed. You can always have it on a bed of steamed rice or soba noodles. Or anytime when you're doing premium green tea, you never throw it. You can add it to your sea fries, you can put it in your salads, you can add it into your omelette. Treat it exactly as a spinach.
Wow. What a great breakfast. Thank you.
And you know how healthy it is? Imagine it's 1% of the whole tea, throwing it away.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. You're not doing it. Let's have it.
Wow. And all these flavors that we've added are delicious as well. So how often, like per day, how much tea are you drinking and taking time out to do the whole ceremony of pouring it and everything?
I'm starting my morning with a cup of water, warm water. And then I would be having the very first tea which we had, the sparkling one. You can make it as a warm tea. And it becomes a very soft, very, very kind of soothing brew. So you don't want to straight away start with the matcha. You don't want to jerk your cortisol level. That's why it's such a wrong technique to have a strong coffee right away, because you basically kind of, the pattern is wrong. You know, you need very slowly to build up your stamina towards the day, your conversion of your melatonin into the more invigorating type of compounds and hormones. So the first tea will be just to kind of flush all the toxins accumulated from the previous meals. And I would have it before breakfast, just a nice brew, and it's very easy to do it. So just, it already comes essential matcha in a nice 5-gram tea bag. So it's very simple, 75 degrees, 3 minutes, tuck, go. And you don't throw away those large tea bags. They are quite big, 5 grams, you don't throw it away. Have another life hack. You put it in the fridge and they gellify. Because imagine it has a sencha and matcha, they gellify, and that's your iPad.
That's such a good
Come
idea.
on, organic sencha with matcha in the morning. That's what you have. And to continue with the sustainability, you don't throw them away after that. You open it and put in the flowers as a fertilizer.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's very good. So how about this salad?
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
And does it depend on kind of which tea it is, whether you can eat it or not? Or okay.
So for example, your senchas, high quality senchas and gyokuros all will be in that kind of soft way. This gyokuro is also shaded, so it will have even less bitterness. So, but again, if you want to have just a touch of the bite, especially in your fries or in your omelette, good quality sencha will do as well.
Oh, that's such a good idea to put in your omelette.
Yeah, I mean, why to throw it away?
Yeah.
This is good to know.
Absolutely.
Just think of all the tea that might have been thrown by people because they don't know that.
Again, if you were just to have autumn harvest silly tea, it won't do that. It will be just kind of, you know, rough texture, and it will be a bit more chewy as well. These leaves are seriously young and treated with utmost care, so they give you those beautiful flavors.
So if you get this spring tea, how long can you keep it for at home?
Great question. So first of all, the question starts on how do we buy tea? So when we buy a tea, always try to rely on the label which has got the farmer's detail, not the brand headquarters detail. Because in this case, the tea is being repacked. And some of the teas, probably some of the black teas, they're more forgiving. Some of the, I don't know, herbal teas potentially. But with the green teas, they don't like travel, they don't like temperature, they don't like humidity, they don't like time, they're so finicky. So knowing where it's coming from and having that production date from the production, not from packing. Because the bigger brands, they will basically repack, and production date is the repacking date.
Yeah.
Which is, you can't trace it really. So you buy it, and none of the good quality farmers, they will give you more than 12 months from the production. So it's a 12 months. And again, even on top of that, it's important to see that, let's say, that's why we opened the boutique as a brick and mortar first, before having the e-commerce platform, which we just launched just a while ago.
Okay, cool.
Because there are so many, e-commerce websites selling teas, and you really don't know anymore how they are treated. At least our guests can come, see that our teas are, who we are, taste with us couple teas, see that all our premium teas are kept in the fridge. And in this case, they will be the confident and they can make it more convenient way of buying the teas. So it's important how you brought it. All our teas, as mentioned, they're built to order and they're all air freighted. And with every order, our farmers are sending us letter. It's just a love story. So from if it's bought in that fresh stage and it's correctly labeled, 12 months from the production. And if you buy, once you have the tea, so even if it has got zip packed, all of that, you open it airtight, dark, not plastic containers, airtight, dark, fridge.
Okay. Yeah.
So black teas are fine; they are much more forgiving, but matcha, senchus, and gyokuro, fridge.
Good. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, and it really, helps them to, to please you anytime you have it. Yeah.
So important.
All
'Cause
right,
you can just
great.
destroy that, and then
Yeah, you can. You can actually destroy even the best tea if you
Yeah.
incorrectly. I mean, first of all, you need to buy it, then you need to store it, and then you need to brew it, and there
Yeah.
are so many things in between. But a few tips. It's again, we are helping the consumers in trade just to make the best of their teas. To buy them in the right way. You don't need to buy always the most expensive teas.
Yeah.
But you can read between the line and select really great teas, affordable, part of your daily life, and really make best of it. And substitute some of your, pharmaceutical preparation with a more natural one. So
Well, we don't need to buy eye patches anymore.
Yeah.
all right.
Oh, I love
Matcha time.
Yay.
Yay.
Matcha do about matcha.
Okay. If somebody asks you what is matcha, how would you answer? How
I
do you
usually say that it tastes dusty and too grassy in terms of taste, and like almost too thick, I think, when I've had it. Like it's that sensation in my mouth. But actually, I wouldn't really be able to tell you what it is.
I will tell you that majority of the consumers, they're pretty much thinking of the matcha the same way. And the reason is majority of the matcha availability on the market is actually fitting that description. Yeah. And it's a snowball effect of misconception. And okay, I will try matcha just because it's healthier than coffee. Okay, I'll try once. Okay, give me a latte, a lot of milk. But it's not about that. So, and majority of the coffee shops also guilty of using not the grade of the matcha which will give you the beautiful, even barista drink, not even talking about some of the usucha grades, which is like matcha americano or even as the ceremonial type of it. So it's definitely very popular. And in a nutshell, it's a powdered green tea. But it should be the only country which is doing matcha as it should be is Japan. There is no such thing as a Chinese matcha or Korean matcha. It is not. So if you just having green tea and you powdering, for me, it's just a powdered green tea. It's a matcha-like product. Okay. It has nothing to do with matcha. Origin, the way of preserving the green element of it, and the shading.
Okay.
So we still want for high quality matcha to have the savoriness, umami, and not the dustiness.
Okay.
That dustiness and bitterness are coming from either not the quality origins, wrong storage, or it's past its best, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
That's actually what when we're discussing about the shading. This is actually Masahiro-san. So he is the farmer of the Senchen Gyokoro, which we taste.
Okay.
And we have ceremonial matcha from him as well.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
basically, during the shading for matcha, we intensifying the umaminess
Mhm.
and we also preserving the chlorophyll even more.
Okay.
So for the matchas, ceremonial matchas, our ceremonial 36 days plus.
Okay.
So we like to have that beautiful emerald color in matcha. And
Yeah.
because of the shading, we do that.
Okay. This is so fascinating. Thank you.
Actually, what we're gonna do to make your life is even more interesting, do we have ice cream? Spin is ice cream, please. We're gonna do the usucha matcha,
Okay.
and we're gonna serve it as affogato.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So whatever we are doing, lattes, usuchas, or as part of affogatos, initially we're preparing matcha base. If it is a latte, then it's basically your matcha espresso. And it's much easier to make than we make in the coffee espresso because we don't need all the sophistication machines. We have a very, very simple. Oh, perfect. So we actually have your organic one. Vanilla. There is some, not that much, but it is there. So what you need is the whisk, a bowl of your choice. If you really starting to get into the matcha at home, invest in one stand because it prolongs the life of your whisk for significantly better period of time.
Okay.
Because after you finished your preparation, you wash it only with the water, and then you will just insert it, and it will dry beautifully. This product is my peche mignon, my weakness.
Yeah.
Because it's endless passion.
Yeah.
It goes beyond that. We are really pleased to work with one of the oldest chasen maker.
Oh, wow.
So this particular chasens, they're coming from the producer who's been making chasens for 27 generations.
Oh, wow.
27 generations. Majority of the chasen, the quality Japanese chasen, is made in Nara prefecture.
Okay.
And to receive the bamboo of this quality before you tailor it into chasen, you need to age it for 6 years.
Wow.
So this is very important element into your things. And then basically very simple, you could also have a bamboo spoon, which is called chashaku, which definitely gives another choreography and it's a nice way to scoop. And it takes around 1 gram, 1.5 gram of the matcha. And that's it.
Okay.
This the kansui with the waste bowl can be definitely substituted with just any bowl, and yeah. So I'll just show you technique. It's by no means a ceremony. Ceremony is something which is completely different level of sophistication. But I will show you techniques which will help you to do matcha or any matcha preparation anytime you wish with confidence. And again, everything has got its meaning. So, for example, the lid of this kansui is decorated with the flowers, which are the emperor flower, and this flower is the signature of the Tokunaga guild clan. So it's a very, very famous feudal, which a very famous tea master, Sanryuki, was his tea master. So it's the whole story.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And don't get intimidated about the foam element. Different school has got different approach to foam.
Okay.
Urasenki is all about very, very foamy, thick foamy matcha. Amatesenki has nothing to do with foam. So it's a personal pleasure. Some of the also tea master, you will see so many different ways of preparing. Putting some little bit of cold water, mixing, then adding. This is not correct. No. We add in the powder, we add in the tea we need, and we preparing it. We don't have this multiple versions of the different temperature of the water. Since and I want you really to get the benefit of this moment, since your bowl is warm, it's better to put matcha right away and inhale it before even you do anything else. So you will actually feel the aromas of it. And it's actually easier to do the whisking as you stand because your focus of the body is helping you to gravitate. When you whisk, you try not to move the elbow part. It's all about the wrist.
Yeah.
It's easier.
You made it look so easy and effortless.
It's a matter of how many matchas per day you make. Okay, as you whisk, I'm
Yeah.
gonna bring some of the matcha desserts.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I'm trying not to move my elbow. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm trying to just move my wrist and it's
Don't
hard.
don't worry if you're not making perfect bubbles. It's okay. You're
I mean, I'm not. It's not happening. I'm not worried. I'm just like, well.
so in this case, I think it's better to have it with the dessert.
Oh, wow.
Matcha cheesecake.
Okay.
Super simple. I actually have a recipe on our website because it's just so simple to do. I like to add the matcha just before serving.
Okay. Is this good now? All right.
Very good for the first time.
Okay. Oh, that's so sweet.
And I also made a matcha tiramisu.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
this is very simple. All right. So have a sip of your matcha, so at least
Okay.
you understand it.
Oh, wow.
So it has nothing to do with the
Not-
bitterness
not
and
dusty.
dustiness. No, dusty.
Dusty,
That is
no
not
thick.
dusty and not thick.
Okay, let's cheer for that.
How is that possible?
I take it. I take it.
Whatever I've been drinking has clearly not been proper matcha.
Nothing should give us pain.
Yeah.
This is
yeah.
nice.
Should not give us pain.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Oh, this is so nice.
I mean, I've had the same problem as you, Tiff. I think every time I've tried it, I just find it gloopy
Yeah.
and you don't want to.
Yeah. Almost like it's like this thick layer getting stuck in your
Yeah.
throat. We ask everybody on our podcast one question, and that is, what nourishes your soul?
After a couple of cups of tea, it becomes a difficult question. There are few things which gives me the right proportion of the nourishment. First of all, appreciation of what I do by my family. When I see that my daughters and my husband are fully embracing the beauty of the Japanese tea, and they help me to with my trips. They assist me with my projects, and they volunteer all for them. I feel that I really have got my Ikigai right, my purpose right, and it gives me energy to keep moving. Secondly, are the consumers who are becoming friends, and the conversion of those who don't believe in the beauty and the power of Japanese tea in its authenticity. And after a couple of cups of tea, they are wowing about, I have never thought that the tea can be that delicious. I feel so empowered. And I only feel that I need to keep passing this message and demystifying the world of Japanese tea to a wider audience.
Oh, well, thank you for doing that. You've converted yet another person.
Yeah,
so-
definitely.
Well done, in 3 hours. And I'm a hard person to convert.
Oh, yeah?
So what about you, Devina?
Yeah, I mean, for matcha, 100%. I mean, I've tasted like, different types of teas before, but like before this, you have a certain perception of what, this tea is or how it tastes, or I have genuinely never tasted matcha like this in my life. Even as a consumer, right? What to expect or what to demand, because it's your right as a consumer to say, I want good quality.
Yeah.
But to now know what that good quality is,
Yeah.
it's a whole new perspective. Because now I know what, when I get something, I'm like, this is not what it's meant to be.
Thank you. You just gave me my portion of nourishment. I feel so great. But you mentioned about the consumers. Of course, the consumers, we first of all need to kind of have the right choices,
Yeah.
which we don't get disappointed, because so often we don't know what we opt for, and then go disappointed, and we probably will get discouraged to try it one more time.
Exactly.
But it's also very important to educate the trade professionals, both the involved in the hospitality as well as wider sector, because every restaurant who will be serving incorrectly a tea, either it's a loose tea or matcha, will be passing that to their guests.
That
Yeah.
misconception.
And the guests will be pursuing it as that's the standard.
Yeah.
And
there's a responsibility and
it's
accountability
a
there.
responsibility,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably another thing which is nourishing as well is to see the passion of the people behind making those beautiful teas. I mean, we are just the messengers.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to work with those beautiful farmers, to have their teas and have the parcels with their handwritten letters. But they, some of them are generation after generation, are devoting their lives to this hard work. So, and as any agricultural work, and especially in those terrains which are mountainous, they don't have the high level of mechanization and not probably supported that much of their governmental bodies. They basically carry on doing for many generations and not giving up, even that it sometimes gets against the trend. So imagine when the coffee, everyone is moaning about the coffee and RTDs and pre-bottled water teas, and they still will be in the teas to be consumed in the traditional way. And they never give up. And I believe anything you pursue with such passion finally gets appreciated.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
your
thank
time.
you.
Thank you so much.
It's been
Appreciate it.
so enriching, and jeepers, I've learned a lot. Yeah, so thank you.
I really liked her answer, getting our Ikigai right. And I think I'm going to make that my theme for 2024.
Me too. Actually, I was cleaning the bookshelf this weekend and I pulled out the Ikigai book and I was like, I need to reread that again.
Yeah.
This episode was brought to you by Spinneys and is hosted by me, Tiffany Eslick, and Devina Divecha. We're produced by Chirag Desai. You can follow Spinneys on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for more. And also visit us at spinneys.com, where you can shop for fresh produce and a variety of local and exclusive products.
We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new guest. See you then.